So there's a leak in the Supreme Court of the United States, and it is damning. It goes to show that in the Obama era, there actually was a war on energy, and that they went so over the top aggressive on the whole climate narrative that it's now looking really bad for them. So we're going to take a look at everything that's going on, because it's not looking good for the Democrats. All I ask in return is you guys to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's get right into this. Leaked memos reveal how Supreme Court steamrolled Obama climate plan in 2016 showdown. The Supreme Court's emergency order blocking former President Obama's signature clean energy initiative in 2016 came after a series of leaked internal memos among the justices that revealed a fight along ideological lines about whether to intervene. The rare glimpse at the High Court's internal memos obtained by the New York Times showed Chief Justice John Roberts, an appointee of former President George Bush, urging the Supreme Court to block Obama's efforts while liberal justices pushed back. And it goes on to describe a few more things, and we are going to get into a video about this, but I do need to say that this was pretty damning. It showed that there was a lot of government overreach, which President Trump has been right about. That there was a war on energy, which shifted a lot of this stuff to clean energy, but very selective clean energy. Clean, right? Used up to interpretation, which Obama interpreted. And it, again, is pretty damning. It shows early judicial resistance, and that is where the courts were already skeptical of Obama policies. Trump didn't break the system. He continued a shift that was already happening, and this exposes a lot. So let's get into a video that explains this a little bit further. AI is taking over, and it can be useful if you know what you're doing. Don't get left behind. Make sure that you actually try to learn what the heck AI can do. Let me introduce you to Outskill. It's an AI-focused education platform designed to help you actually apply AI in your work. And it's already impacted over 10 million people across 100 countries. And the best part, it's completely free. So you can explore, learn, and see real value. Outskill's 2-day live AI mastermind is happening this weekend, 16 hours from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard on Saturday and Sunday, designed for a global audience with a well-suited time. It condenses the experience of over 100 practitioners from companies like NVIDIA and Microsoft who have witnessed and built through the AI boom. Their main focus is to make you AI independent, to understand exhaustion gaps in AI space, and to keep you up to date, to increase your earning potential through just implementing AI. In just 16 hours, here's what you will master: building AI agents that plan, execute, and report for you, automating workflows that run even while you sleep, connecting tools like Sheets and Notions to create profitable systems, using AI to save hours every single week and get an unfair advantage at work. You will also go back with bonuses that are worth over $5,000, which includes an amazing AI prompt Bible, a personalized AI toolkit builder, and even a roadmap to gain profit through AI that will top up your AI learning experience with them. Also, right now, just by registering, you'll get access to their exclusive AI survival hack book, which itself will keep you informed about the major AI shifts happening around the world. They have a phenomenal 4.9 out of 5-star rating on Trustpilot and have impressed millions of people around the world. Just click the link down below in the description or scan the QR code on the screen and stay updated by joining their WhatsApp community before the big blast.
Questions swirling over who is leaking information from the Supreme Court. The New York Times reporting it has obtained secret memos, which it says, quote, illuminate the origins of the court's now routine shadow docket rulings on presidential power. Joining us now in those not-so-secret memos, Fox News legal editor Carrie Urban. You know, I was thinking the last big leak out of the Supreme Court was Dobbs, and that was 4 years ago now.
Yeah.
How time flies, and now this. Where's the stuff coming from?
And there was another one between Dobbs and this one, and that one was on presidential immunity. That was in 2024, I believe, and it was a memo that detailed how the chief was going to handle the decision. And within that same report, and that was also from the New York Times, was one about there was some information about how he had reassigned an opinion from Justice Alito to himself because of the so-called flag controversy that was happening at his home at the time, if you remember that one. And so we're looking at 3 major leaks over the last 4 years, which is really unheard of for the U.S. Supreme Court.
Okay, so why?
It's a great question, Sandra. And look, I think these leaks tend to go in one direction, and it is to undercut what the conservative wing of the Supreme Court is doing or is in the process of doing. Certainly that was the case with Dobbs, and we saw what happened there when that decision was leaked. The justices faced violence at their homes. Attorney General Garland, unfortunately, didn't enforce the law at the time that would have stopped the protesters from doing some of the things they were doing around their homes. We remember that time. It was really troubling. It was the same time where that man attempted to murder Justice Brett Kavanaugh. It had some real world possible harms that could have occurred. And so why is it happening?
The Democrats, their entire motive, their entire IO has been to weaponize ideological movements and to push into that social justice warrior crap and to radicalize an entire nation, or what we've seen, an entire generation of people. And it's gotten out of control. I mean, it's inhumane, it's disgusting, and I don't know if it's reversible, but what we're seeing right now are the repercussions of things that have, been put in place and things that have been talked about for several years. And so what's it going to be like even further down the road with once all of that stuff catches up? It's horrible what's happened.
Look, I think there are some disgruntled people that elections have consequences, and a Republican president has made some pretty conservative picks for the Supreme Court, and there are people who are unhappy with that, so they're willing to undercut and bypass the traditions and protocols of the Supreme Court and endanger its future, really, by leaking out things from that building to the general public who don't have the context and are certainly undercutting the public's trust just in the integrity of the institution by doing so.
You got to wonder who is leaking this stuff. And I remember back to the Dobbs decision, it seemed like it was going to be a pretty cut and dry case to get to the bottom of who did it, because everything there in terms of the Xerox machines and email, it's all coded and tagged, and you could probably easily find it out, but the investigation went nowhere. So whoever's doing this knows how to cover their tracks. Yeah,
that's certainly right. And Molly Hemingway has a book coming out on Justice Alito, and she talks about how, according to her reporting, that some of the liberal justices were slow walking their dissents as the Dobbs decision was being written, and it had been written, and they were slow walking it despite the threats of violence against their conservative justices, which I thought was quite interesting reporting. But John, back to the original question. This piece in the New York Times, first of all, I had to chuckle at the quote, secret memos. You mean confidential memos, which is what it's supposed to be. Justices have to be able to speak in candor in order to have decisions and do what they do. And it's a general criticism of this thing called the shadow docket, which is the emergency docket. It's how the Supreme Court deals with emergency requests. What are emergency requests? Well, we have seen the lower courts over and over again blocking the Trump administration from every single thing they try to do. Mm-hmm. They put a halt on it. So one option that the Trump administration has had, and also previous administrations have had, is to go straight to the Supreme Court and ask the Supreme Court, can you unblock the lower court from blocking us so that the policy goes into place as the case is litigated on the merits? So in this particular administration, this Trump administration right now, the Supreme Court has done that for the administration, I think about 20 times. Mm-hmm. I think people are upset about that. And so what this piece does is say, well, guess what? You know who created this whole thing? It's Chief Justice Roberts when he tried to stop, when he did stop President Obama from implementing, his big clean power plan, which was a big deal to him. And so I think the point of the New York Times in the leaking of this and the presenting of the story is to say, look, they were willing to stop executive power when they didn't like it, but here, when it comes to Donald Trump, they're allowing him and his policies to go.
Well, this can't be.
I'd love to hear from you guys down below in the comments. What are the repercussions of this? Is this good for President Trump? Is this bad for President Trump? Let me know what you guys think down below. As always, if you enjoyed it, hit the like, subscribe, and I'll see you all later. Bye for now.